Hi, it's Monday the 25th of May 2026, Bank Holiday Monday, and welcome to this week's My Thoughts vlog. As usual, all the opinions are my own, and it's unscripted. One small notice, I've got a new microphone set up, so if the audio is a bit weird or doesn't work, because I had some problems with it yesterday, just drop us a comment, let us know. But I think it should be okay. Anyway, this week I want to talk to you about an article that was in the Mirror yesterday by the amazing investigative journalist Susie Boniface. Now, it concerns the fact that the scientists who worked on the British nuclear tests in the 50s knew that the potential was there to harm the babies of the servicemen. Yeah, let that sink in. They knew in advance that's what it was going to do. It was written by a Professor John Butterfield, who was in charge of the biological observations at the weapons tests. And it was in Australia, and it was in the 50s. So you're talking maybe a decade before my dad got there, and certainly in plenty of time to have halted the tests. All of them. Most of them, anyway. No, in fact, all of them, I think. And, to stop what was going on, because, the report said the British troops would have deformed children as a result of the bomb tests. And that was in a report by the government, scientists, given to the government. In fact, it was filed with Sir William Penny, who was the chief scientist in charge of the tests at the time. So it was out there. This was knowledge that was known. And I'm guessing they binned it because their opinion was that there was no cause for alarm. What it says is, because only thousands of people rather than millions were involved and the overall risk to humanity was negligible, they allowed this to go on. They said that the bad genetic patterns and mutations would be bred out. They admit that's poor consolation to the men involved. But, hey-ho, never mind, let's carry on. It's shocking, isn't it? Because if you look at the time scale, this was the 50s, you're talking the Nuremberg trials were, a decade previous? And this was when the Western world and the Allies took a moral viewpoint and a moral judgment on what the Nazis were up to with their things like their eugenics and their human tests, and said, oh no, this is terrible, and we're going to hang you all. And then, fast forward a few years later, is what they were doing so very different? Knowingly doing tests that would harm and damage babies. I mean, think about that. But I'm drawing so many parallels with some of the Nazi experiments. It's making me shudder to think that this is the society that we call civilized, and we accept it, and the government still haven't been held accountable for it. I mean, if I or you were to go out and deliberately harm someone in a way that you knew could possibly harm their child, then you would be in court and you would be punished. If, you see it when the NHS has done something terribly negligent and a child has been harmed, or a person's been harmed. There's a court case, which the government are fine with, otherwise they would have stopped it. And, massive damages, no questions asked. Problem, consequence, recompense. It happens. But when it's the government doing it, as in MOD, it's viewed slightly differently. I mean, this report says that they know babies will be harmed. And now we have, people like me, babies that were harmed, and the government is saying, well, it's nothing to do with us, even though their own documents have it in black and white. That's hurtful, it really is, because had they done something, stopped the tests, given some PPE, because my dad had none, then perhaps my life could have been different, and all those of lives of the other children that were affected could have been different, and perhaps people that have died early would still be alive. And that's on the government's hand. It's blood on their hands. And still today they are peddling out the same lines. No men were put in harm's way. No men were exposed to radiation. And yet, the Merlin database is just one database. But what is pouring out is evidence that they knew. And they had the evidence, and they had it early. Really early. Years before my dad got there. And, how can they sleep at night and then, when they knowingly are rejecting our claims and our calls for accountability? Why are they making us jump through hoops? We're asking Kia for a meeting, still not happened. We're waiting on this report, still not published, still not finished. Why? You've had the evidence, you've had it since the 50s. So why are we waiting? Why is it us that's supposed to, be quiet and behave and sit back and wait for you, who's done the damage, to, portray yourself as the heroes that are going to fix it? Because you're not. You're the guilty ones. And by dragging it out, you are adding to that. You are part of it. You are part of the cover-up. And delaying it re-traumatises. I know that. This is my life. This story was quite a personal one to me, because it is my life, and it's the life of my sons. One of my children has a genetic issue, and to know that they knew that before my dad even set foot in Australia, is shocking, isn't it? So those men who took those decisions to go ahead should have faced the full consequences of the law. But nobody has faced anything, because nobody will admit it. Nobody's coming clean with these documents. I mean, they're in the public sphere now, they're in the National Archives, and yet the government is still not holding their hands up yet. What's taking the time? It angers me, and it saddens me, it really does. So yeah, this one was a bit of a personal one. Yeah, sorry about that. But this is the reason that I have to keep going, because I will make them, along with my fellow campaigners, I will make them stand up and admit what they've done. And, yes, it wasn't the government of today, but it was the British government, and it was the MOD, our MOD, that's supposed to protect us. Our government, who's supposed to be on our side. They're not on my side. They're not on the side of the veterans. They're not on the side of the descendants. Not now. Not yet. But they will be at some point. I'll make sure of it. But anyway, it is Bank Holiday Monday. It's glorious out there, actually. It's hot already. Really hot already. So, yeah. Have a nice day. Do, if you can, do something nice. Don't know what we're doing. Might do something later. But, yeah. Enjoy the weather while we got it, because this is Britain. It might not last. Anyway, so, as always, got any comments, just ask questions, whatever. Ask me, I'll answer them next time. But, for now, I think, I'll let you be. So, thank you very much for watching, and, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.